Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into one of the absolute cornerstones of human interaction. From Stephen Covey's work, Habit4, Think Win-Win. This isn't just a tactic, it's a whole philosophy for how we deal with each other. And it all kicks off with a problem that, honestly, most of us create without even knowing it.
So let's start with a story. You've got this company president, and he is just at his wit's end. He is desperate for his team to cooperate, to work together, to share ideas, to act like a real team. But for whatever reason, it just wasn't happening.
You can just feel his frustration, right? He's complaining to Stephen Covey, saying, "I preach cooperation every week, but my people are just selfish." He was totally convinced the problem was with his employees.
But then Covey sees what's really going on. Tucked away in the president's office, behind a curtain, is this huge chart. It's a horse race, and each horse has the face of one of his managers on it. And the finish line? A trip to Bermuda. So he's saying cooperation, but he's rewarding pure cutthroat competition. Only one person could win.
And that's the whole point right there. The problem wasn't the people. It wasn't that they were selfish. The problem was the system, the paradigm they were stuck in. The company was basically watering one flower while yelling at a different one to grow. It just doesn't work.
So that story? It's the perfect way to jump into what Covey calls the 6 fundamental paradigms of human interaction. Think of these as the mental maps we all use to navigate our relationships, whether we're conscious of them or not. So let's break them down.
First up, you've got win-win. This is the mindset that there's plenty to go around, that one person's success doesn't mean someone else has to fail. Then there's win-lose, which is that race to Bermuda paradigm. It's competitive, it's authoritarian, and it basically says, for me to win, you have to lose. On the flip side, you have lose-win, where you're a people-pleaser, always giving in to keep the peace, often at your own expense.
And it doesn't stop there. You can get into even darker territory. There's lose-lose. This is what happens when two stubborn win-lose people go head-to-head. They're so focused on making the other person lose that they end up destroying themselves in the process. Then there's just win. This person doesn't even care if you lose. They just want what they want, period. And finally, the one we're building up to, win-win or no deal.
Now this is super important. Win-win isn't about some weak compromise where everybody's a little unhappy. No way. It's about a belief in a third alternative. It means we work together to create a solution that's actually better than what either of us could have come up with on our own.
Okay, so let's take this a step further and look at the ultimate expression of this idea. This is the concept that really cements the whole win-win mindset, and it's the idea of no deal.
So what does no deal actually mean? It's pretty simple, really. It just means that if we can't find a solution that's a genuine win for you and a genuine win for me, then we just don't do the deal. And crucially, we agree to disagree agreeably. No bad blood, no burned bridges.
Think about the kind of freedom this gives you in a negotiation. When no deal is an option, you're not desperate. You don't have to manipulate or pressure or try to push your agenda. You can just be open, honest, and really try to understand what the other person needs because you know you won't get backed into a corner.
But here's the thing, you can't just fake this. Thinking win-win is not a technique you pull out of a toolbox when it's convenient. It has to come from a much deeper place. It has to be part of your character. It really does start with you.
Covey breaks it down into 3 key traits that make up a win-win character. First is integrity. You know your values and you stick to them. Second is maturity, which he defines as this perfect balance between courage to state your needs and consideration for the other person's needs. And third is something he calls the abundance mentality.
And that last one, the abundance mentality, man, that is a game changer. See, most of us are raised with a scarcity mentality. We see life as a fixed pie. If you get a big slice, well, that means there's less for me. The abundance mentality completely flips that on its head. It says there's plenty out there for everybody. It sees possibilities, not limitations.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds a little idealistic, right? Does it actually work in the real world with real money on the line? Well, let's look at the long-term payoff, because this is where the rubber meets the road.
All right, picture this. There's a software company, and they are in serious financial trouble. They've just landed a huge contract that could literally save them. But then, the client hires a new boss, and he wants out of the deal. Legally, they have him dead to rights.
But the president of the software company, who lives by this win-win philosophy, does the unthinkable. He tears up the contract. He gives back the deposit. He just lets an $84,000 deal go. Can you imagine? To his employees, it looked like absolute financial suicide.
But 3 months later, the phone rings. It's that same client. They were so blown away by his integrity that they came back and signed a new contract for nearly 3 times the original amount. He played the long game, and it paid off big time.
And that story just brings it all home, doesn't it? The truth is, most of our lives are interdependent. We need each other. And in that kind of reality, if it's not a win for both of us, it's actually a loss for both of us. That short-term victory you might grab today will almost always come back to bite you down the road.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this question. Let's bring it back to you. Think about that president and his horse race to Bermuda. Where in your life, at work, at home, with your family, are you accidentally rewarding the very behavior you say you don't want? Because if you put good people in a bad system, you're always going to get bad results.